Hello, this is Pixie. Probably just a small video really. I had some really strange dream. I was going to warn someone, let me know if anything paranormal goes on. I've got a friend I see, and she was in my dream, but what was in there is my family wanted to meet her, which was odd. And we went to a house, and my brother was there. And my mother, but I don't think I could really see the features of my mother and something else. And like Dad, there was beings there, but I just think they were impersonating being my family in some way, or they were connected. I don't know. It's very odd. And so she was there, but was it her? It was like being in a Transylvanian castle. It was really odd. And so it was talked for a bit, or they talked to her. I was just sort of there, and then went downstairs, and there was like a ritual. Now I thought it was like a Hindu thing. I don't know why it'd be a Hindu, because it doesn't even connect into it at all. But there was sort of, the dress was like that. Maybe it was Arabic in that kind of thing. But they were saying Norwegians. They did some sort of thing. I thought this was saying not like Norwegian. Let's just go over it. But they said Norwegians, and I thought that's really odd. And they wanted me to repeat what they were saying back to them, which is even more scary, really, because what you could have is, like you're giving someone access. It's kind of like if someone emailed you and asked you for your password to get into your computer or something. So once you could sort of start to hack someone's mind, that's what potentially it was doing. It's like, I say this and you repeat. And salama. So it's Norwegian salama. And maybe that's the name. I mean, there is a chap who's one of my neighbours has moved in, and he's Norwegian, or he has that connection, maybe Scandinavian or something like that. I haven't really figured out exactly everything about him. It's just because I don't really talk to him, but however he does talk, he does kind of fit the stereotype, and he talks in a different language. So maybe, and maybe it's something else picking up on that and rerouting it into my mind. And then I got told there was like another part of my conscious mind is somehow separate, and it's you've got a demon in the house. That's what it said. Literally, it said you've got, like a guide, you've got a demon in the house. And I thought, bloody hell, I'm not going to stay. I was aware that I was somewhere else and that I needed to get back into a conscious realm, so I knew that was true. And to be honest, before I had this dream, I mean, there was a few other things I had last night. I couldn't sleep that well. I thought maybe something like 8, and I stayed up to 3 in the morning. So I stayed up 3 in the morning listening to music, and I was listening to strange stuff like sort of like Britney Spears remixes and all sorts of things. So it started off with a bit of Linkin Park, and it moved into all sorts of different music. So I just stayed up to like 3 in the morning. But before that, I went to bed, and I thought, well, it must be 2 in the morning. But it was only like 11:30. I'm thinking, I feel like I've been asleep for hours, because so I had a bath, went and checked the internet, started feeling a bit sleepy. It's probably about 10 o'clock, and I thought, well, it's past 10 now, I'm just going to go to bed. And then, like I say, I just had this thing where I woke up, and sort of going forward into my dream now, just so we don't explain that section of it. But then I had this thing saying there was a demon in it, and I tried to wake myself up, and it's really hard. You feel like you're just pulling yourself out of. You have this kind of almost like when you're drunk. It was really, you're forcing yourself back into your conscious body. Your body's saying like, no, you're tired, rest. It's that little in between stage whereby, when your eyes start rolling, in your head, and you start to nod off and you wake up again. Don't worry, I'm going to do it when I'm driving, obviously, I'm not listening, I'm just mimicking. But yeah, basically it had this effect of feeling like I just started falling asleep and I just woke myself up. And I guess it is a good skill to have, that if you kind of just fallen asleep, that you're able to get yourself conscious enough to get to where you need to be. So I had 4 hours sleep. I mean, I haven't slept since. I've still only had 4 hours sleep today. I'm not particularly too tired, and I felt like there was a lot of energy. I had a thing about where the moon, as a planet aligned with the moon, but then there was a massive earthquake. So possibly there is some planetary movements out there. Now they talk about things like Planet X, and what might be happening is basically with suns, they generate a certain frequency, and like a hologram, these holograms are in tune, but they're with a certain light frequency, so this affects their density. It's the same theory, I guess, that ghosts don't have a solid body, because they actually don't have anything to do with the hologram anymore. You need to use the matter in order to create some physical body. That's why poltergeists, the idea that they use energy from a living person to charge themselves up so they can manipulate objects around, or they have to use some emotional energy, but they need to use the emotional energy they can gather. They can't just simply do it. Otherwise they can just walk through walls and stuff, and they can have some influence of things around them, but they don't have any power to cause any harm. But if you charged them up, then they could do something more effective in that period of time. I don't think they would want to, because they just don't have the same sort of function. More like a dream consciousness, I guess. And when I die, will I have this lose most of my consciousness and be the thing in a dream, the thing that would wake me up and saying, there's a demon. So I pulled myself out of that, and it was just like moving limbs as well, and then I was trying to sense anything in the room. Now this is really weird, actually. This stuff about saying Norwegian or something like that. And then there was a thing where I woke up and my phone was on charge, but the phone came on the light and it was in another room, and then it sort of phased down, like I made a noise and I somehow woke the phone up, which was weird because it's not set up to anything. And also a movement in the chair. I woke up and there was a movement in the front room chair, as if something had sat up or something had moved. And because I was sitting in it earlier, but I was sitting in, this is like over 5 hours ago, so if anything was going to move for some reason in the chair, why would it happen just when I wake up 5 hours later? And it wasn't like it was squeaking or anything, it was just a leather chair I'd sat down in, compressed the cushion slightly. So yeah, something very, very odd was going on, and stuff to do, like I say, I saw this thing on my mind where the moon had been eclipsed by another planet, got in the way of it or something, but it also may be generating its own energy, and we can't see it. So you can't see the planet because it's in a different frequency, so it's like it's out of phase. You might suddenly notice the stars are all blocked out in an area, or it might suddenly go dark all of a sudden. In the same way that if you saw something spectral or had something where you felt there was another presence in the room, you may just see a shadow quickly and then it's gone. It's not so weird things like happening. I mean, people might think, that's a lot of rubbish. But when you actually see something, you think, well, I'm either hallucinating or there's something there. And then if you sense something touching you and stuff, and you're like, okay, this is a little bit more creepy than I thought, and then you sort of start to reevaluate it. So there's always a part where your brain thinks, nah, this stuff doesn't exist, and then you have an experience and you've got to kind of question what's going on, and also what you're kind of lending your energy to. So, at first I'm not sure about something, then I think something's there, then I try to project my energy into it to figure out what it is, and by doing that I'm almost projecting some light into the thing to give it a form. It's like when you look at a cloud and you see a face there. So the face, is the face just a construct of your brain, or is it some merger of the two? Like there's actually a intelligence there, a consciousness, a presence in the actual sky, and you're lending it more form by concentrating on it. I mean, I know that from a psychological point of view, your brain automatically problem solves. You can't see everything, which suggests that there is more to what's around you than you're able to actually take in, and because of that, your brain fills in the gaps. When you have new experiences, you're able to add more information to it. In the same way, say for example, if you're able to imagine certain tastes and you practiced it, you may be able to add that into your dream, because you become more active neurologically in what you can sense and flavours. Like I'd imagine chefs would actually have dreams where they'd be aware of things they're tasting and stuff like that, because they're practicing with their tongue, and they may be making comments and things, you know, if they do have a kind of work dream related to that. It depends on that type of person. So just let someone park up. I think this gap he's going to park is a little bit too tight, but I wouldn't do it, but he's obviously likes a challenge. If you've got one of these cars that beep when you're about an inch away from them, I guess you can do it. It's very impressive. So yeah, so basically your brain can problem solve. It can also create forms on these problems, but then in that spiritual way, is it just that, or is it something more going on? And it's kind of open for a debate there. Otherwise, it's quite a cold reality if everything's just in your head. You know, like it's just information outside of you, but your mind's giving it a structure. Like the people you see around you might actually be, you know, people you're attracted to, they're maybe not as attractive as you think. It's just that for you they are, because of the way you perceive them, the way you read them, the way you project on them. You know, somebody else might see their skin all full of blemishes, but you see it perfectly smooth. You see that the colour is, you know, it's one shade rather than the multi-shades and things like that. So, or either that they're more in tune with more one part of the colour spectrum than the other. So you might think, you know, if people saw your face slightly green, you might think, oh, not really attracted to a slightly greeny person. So that's kind of perception stuff. I mean, I sensed some stuff going on. It just seemed very weird. I was quite knackered, I must admit. But why I wanted to stay up late, I don't know. And there could be other factors to it. It's just very strange how something was trying to pick my mind and find out about this friend of mine, then was trying to hook into other bits of information. I mean, I do know someone I visited someone who's he's Hindu, and I'm aware of that, and I've done research on different things. You know, I've got Buddhist and Vedic stuff, but it's just an unusual dream. And also, what was pulling me out, saying like a warning, there is something demonic in your presence. I think you need to wake up and deal with it. So in my mind, I just said, you know, go. And also, it's kind of the thing is, I don't mind something, but you don't have to fish in my brain. You can simply bloody ask me. That's works. Anyway, this is a big sign off, and speak to you soon.